and welcome to Shop Talk. I'm your host, Kevin Delgado, the creator, artist, and publisher of Volantis. We are in downtown Lancaster, New York at the grand opening of 3D Comics. And today I'm joined by none other than Mr. Kevin Conrad. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Good, man. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm great.
This is really funny. Kevin.
Yeah, it's not going to be confusing at all. Kevin, you have a pretty storied career in comic book making, mainly as an inker. Can you tell us what that might entail?
Unlike what Chasing Amy likes to tell you, it is not. It's not tracing. And just like Ben Affleck, after over many shows I've been at, I would have liked to have gone over the top of a table and choked somebody out. But it's in its simplicity. You can even look at it on my website. I got a really good, lengthy description of what I feel inking is. Mm-hmm. Too long to talk about here, but in its simplicity, it is, yes, it's converting that black pencil to black ink. Some inker or some pencilers do prefer you to not change a thing and basically trace, bad word, everything they have. And the looser the pencils, the more confident that penciler is. And if you have the ability to work with that type of penciler and they trust you, then you're able to contribute to that product and have a much more of a team effort. You know what I mean?
But aside from that, so you're also adding depth and embellishing the action and the vivacity of the image, correct?
Yes, yeah. There's a lot to do with contrast, and if you feel a panel or a page needs more blacks to make something pop, absolutely add them. Detail, everything's not cross hatching as some people would like to do. A rock isn't. A rock you might throw some cross hatching in. I don't know if you would want cross hatching like in a pool of water. You know? So you have to have different methods, different tools to make it all work. Yeah.
Excellent. So aside from inking, there's many different things that contribute to making a comic book. Right. Are there any other jobs you've taken?
I did do I actually penciled small series for an independent company called Marcosia, called J.Z. Wild's Carnival Souls, and it was I didn't create it. Somebody hired me to do it, and it had similarity to Kiss Psycho Circus, which happened to be something I worked on for 3 years.
Right.
Traveling Carnival, and that type of thing. I penciled it. I penciled 3 issues of it, and ultimately that's what I wanted to do my entire. As I was a kid, I wanted to be a penciler. Mom, Dad, I'm going to draw for Marvel Comics, and I happened to have the opportunity to come in as an inker, and I got pretty darn good at it. Right. So then. And pigeonhole is a bad word, but when you become in demand, and that's sort of where you go. And I became very proficient at it, and very good at it, and well respected. Yeah.
Well, that leads into my next question, and I believe you broke in through Marvel Comics. Is that correct?
I did. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us something about that?
Sure. One of my good friends. I don't know if you've heard of him, Greg Capullo.
Oh no, never heard of him before. He's not a superstar.
We grew up together from junior high on.
Great.
Grew up in the same city, played in the same bands in high school and stuff like that. We. Sort of even before we didn't know each other. We knew of each other in junior high, and everyone would say, "Hey, I know somebody that draws just like you," and then we never met each other until high school, where the art classes all came together different because he was a year younger than me. And we became fast friends.
Really? No rivalry?
No, not really. Okay. Not really. Even back then, he was an insanely super talented guy, way more talented than I could ever hope to be. Even at that time. But I saw it. But I saw that he had a super talent, and we started drawing sample pages and taking trains down to New York City. We lived near Albany, New York, so just north of the city, and. We'd go to Marvel with our thing, with our samples, and one day Jim Shooter came out and actually talked to us while we were out there. We were in our early 20s at the time, and he just said, "Man, I'd just like to put you two guys together and make one artist." At that time. Now, mind you, we were young. He pursued it. when I graduated high school, I went to art school for a couple years. I started getting commercial art right off the rip, or as soon as I left the school after 2 years. So the fever for me doing comics sort of left, and he kept trying until he finally got in.
Gotcha.
So he was in for a couple years, 2-3 years maybe, and I saw all the success he's having, and he's working on X-Force at that time, and I go, man, I want a piece of this, and he gave me some Xerox copies of some of his pencils, and I lightboxed them. I lightboxed them, I inked them. He put them in with his FedEx package to his editor. Name slips my mind now, but he goes, who inked these? Oh, my buddy did. Right. Sometimes it's not who you know or what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
And I'd hate to look at those pages now. I don't have them. I don't know what they looked like, but it got me in, and then you got to prove yourself.
Right.
And from that point, you gotta earn your keep.
Right.
And I had the good fortune of having Greg there to help me, through that project.
Did you have like a rigid schedule when you were inking? Or?
Oh my God, yeah. It's when you're inking a full-time book, it's 22 pages, and you have 3 to 4 weeks to get it done on a good month.
Right.
A lot of the times, because the lower you are on that ladder,
right.
The more what they say, what rolls downhill.
Was that the only job you were working at the time?
No, I had I think I made him work. I was working at McDonald's or something at that time, or something like that, full time. Yeah. But I did quit promptly. When as soon as I got in, I did quit and started doing the comics, full time. And I got the book full. Greg left to go to Todd's, and I got X-Force full time with Tony Daniel.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So you were bringing up these names like Greg Capullo, Todd McFarlane. I mean, you've worked with some other superstars too, like Alan Moore, Tony Daniel, right. Jeff Johns. Can you tell us anything about working with those kind of guys? So
Tony and I had a good working relationship. We were on a smaller scale, the Jim Lee, Scott Williams, type thing. That's what we were aspiring to be.
Right.
That's what I was aspiring. I don't want to speak for Tony, but as far as the writers go, I had very little to do with conversing with the writers. I got to know them, and some of them, going from the shows, because that was the penciler's role, was to work things out with the writer. But Tony's a great guy, and Tony is a super talent too, and I miss working with him.
Yeah.
We had a kind of like this, we gelled, we just gelled. He had a hard time. Anytime somebody else inked them back in the day anyway, it was harder for them to decipher Tony's pencils than it is for me.
Right. From my personal experience, when I was first getting into comics, Wizard Magazine used to have ads for Spawn Blood Feud all the time, and those images just kind of cemented in my brain. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to be here right now doing this with you. So you got to do Kiss the Psycho Circus.
Yeah.
And if I correct, you were in a Kiss tribute band?
I am now, currently.
Okay. So
for the last 4 years, yes.
So are you like a lifelong Kiss fan?
I have been a lifelong Kiss fan since I was 14.
Was Kiss the Psycho Circus your dream project?
That was absolutely, without a doubt, I would have done that for free. I got paid well for it, but I would have done it for free. That was, I think, the pinnacle of my career. I think, in my estimation, probably my best work. I worked with Angel Medina for the first half of the run and Clayton Crane for the second half of the run, and it was really a dream come true. It's like I always say, it's like all the planets aligned where I was able to get that. It's like, how does that even happen? And in the real world, and to be this avid, rabid Kiss fan and be able to do something like that was just crazy.
Very nice.
Crazy.
So artists like Jason Fabach, he uses 3D models.
Yeah.
Sean Gordon Murphy, he makes cardboard models of his designs, and Alex Ross, he will do tons of photos and have specific lighting for his poses, for his references. Do you have anything like that in your process that you use?
So yeah, and sometimes in a sense, yes. All that what you just said, those are all methods to get to the final product.
Right.
So if you're using 3D models to draw your figures, that's just another way. You're moving that model, you're moving that 3D model to make, to the position, the lighting, all that kind of stuff you want. So you're creating all that. So yeah, it's all about repetition. Drawing, like most traditional guys would, they've drawn it so many times, they've studied so much that, they could just draw a figure from any angle without even looking at any reference. Do I need reference? Not all the time, but yes, I still use a reference. There's a lot, and especially in this day and age, there's a lot of reference sites out there where you can just find, something and it's all perfectly okay. It's not like you're going through a comic book, I want to use that pose, and then you copy that pose and somebody says, hey, I know where he found that pose. It's not that, it's not the same thing. They're reference tools, is what they are. So they're absolutely perfectly okay, and I'll use them if I have to.
So you said the word traditional, and to me, traditional means pencil, pen, ink.
Yeah.
Now, digital is another form of art that is, sweeping through the industry. Do you think the digital versus traditional will be poised for inking to make a renaissance at this point, to kind of stand out and compete?
Man, I hope traditional inking survives. Just like everything you see where albums went to CDs, and now it's so easy just to steal music off the internet. The digital inking process, it's a shortcut, and you can do absolutely beautiful stuff with it. It's quicker. It's a lot quicker to do, and I'd be hard pressed with the guys that are really good at it to tell if it was digitally done or done on paper. What I don't like about it is the fact that there's nothing that truly really exists. There's nothing on paper. There's not an original piece of artwork, and I'm a dinosaur. I like to feel that paper. I like the fact that you can hold it in your hand. You can't with the digital inks. It is another necessary evil in the way things are running. There might come a time where I might have to pick up a Wacom tablet. I don't know. Or a Cintiq. I haven't to this point.
I think the craftsmanship that comes with inking is bar none superior. I mean, to buy an original piece of artwork that has ink strokes and splatter, and
you can feel it.
That
you can
feel
see
it. Just
you can see
sings.
the relief of the ink on the paper and that
absolutely.
kind of thing.
Yes.
Absolutely agree with you. And I just hope that paper comics survive, and they seem to be doing okay, but I just everything's about the bottom dollar, and the way that you can save money is, okay, let's not hire an inker, let's just sometimes it's just the penciler doing the pencils. You can convert those pencils to ink with practically a flip of a button,
or trace over it,
trace over it.
So speaking of the industry, do you have any tips for aspiring artists out there?
I can tell you, I had a short conversation with somebody earlier today too, but you have to be at the top of your game in this day and age because of the internet. It's not such a small world anymore, where they're getting people just from the States or local to the Marvel offices or the DTC or Image offices. You can have somebody 12,000 miles away draw something for you, scan it, drop it, and they'll get it quicker than any FedEx overnight could actually get that original art to you. And that's another thing is like, inkers started doing and it just started coming into vogue when probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, where inkers started inking over Blue Line, which is a whole other discussion. Where the pencilers never even had to ship you the art anymore. They would scan it, send you the file, you tweak it, you print it on a board, and then you inked over the Blue Line. Now there's the pencils, and now there's a separate ink. So what can I say is, like I said, you better be on your game, because the talent is even
gracious.
Yes, because now you're not just competing with a small pond. You're competing with a whole ocean of people. So
that's a crazy way to put it. What's the first comic book that comes to your mind, the earliest memory you have? For me, it was Todd McFarlane's Spawn #5. And I've recreated that image a million times, and it's just always stuck with me. What is your Spawn #5? Spider-Man #5.
I was a huge Spider-Man fan growing up. John Romita, he was my era of Spider-Man, John Romita Sr., when I was collecting, when I was, a tween and a teenager. but I started. I honestly don't remember the first comic book that I bought, but I would say probably the one that my Spawn number 5 was, and I can't remember the issue number, but it was the first appearance of the Man-Wolf.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
John Jameson Jr., right?
Yes, and Spidey's on the one side of across the gutter, and J.J. Jameson is like this, and the sun's coming crashing through the window. That was, probably one of mine.
Nice, nice. What's the best and worst experience you had with an editor? Okay,
my best experience with an editor. Bob Harris. Okay, there, and then came back to me.
Hey,
Bob Harris hired me to work on X-Force, right, full time. My worst experience with an editor was Bob Harris firing me because I was so green. Because I just, mind you, I just got in. I'm inking Greg, strong foundation, that kind of thing. Now I'm inking Tony, and what you don't see, from the outside looking in, although you might say, hey, that stuff looks great. I was very green. Mm-hmm. Tony was actually pretty green too. He was a young kid, younger than me, and I wasn't ready for that full-time book. I got fired. So was I angry? Yeah, I was angry. I was butthurt. Yeah, I was butthurt. And I started getting work throughout all the other editors and Marvel offices. And let me tell you, that was the best thing that happened to me because it honed my skills. Mm-hmm. I became a lot better, a lot quicker, working over a dozen different artists and working with just one artist. And then Bob Harris hired me back, and then I had the full time. I had the full time run with Tony.
Right.
At that point too. Awesome. And so my best experience, my worst experience, and my best experience all wrapped in one. Right.
Perfect.
There. Yeah.
With that, I got one more question, and we'll wrap this up. What's next for Kevin Conrad?
So, if most people know they haven't seen my name in comic books in quite a while, is because I did semi-retire from actually working in the full-time business because I needed benefits, I needed health insurance, things like that. So I just kept myself out there doing conventions, doing in-store signings like I'm doing here, doing commissions. If you go to my website, kevinconradart.com, you'll see pages and pages of commissions that I've done. So that's it. Now I'll occasionally do like an indie cover or something like that these days. Penciling more so and inking my own pencils. I will still ink for people. What's coming up right now is my very this piece I did here is a takeoff on the Kiss Destroyer CD cover, and it's literally from them from the back. Mm-hmm. And this is right here in Buffalo,
our hometown.
Right. This I just got yesterday with the print on it.
Oh, look at that.
And it is a tribute CD to the music of Kiss with all Western New York musicians.
Awesome.
And there are some big name acts on there too, as well as like local musicians who are still working locally in the crowd. But people have worked with Alice Cooper, with Kiss, Paul Stanley, Ozzy Osbourne, you name it. There's I'm not saying they're on it. No, I'm just saying people that worked with them, right? So it's actually a pretty cool project. I've heard some of the audio cuts on here, and in my estimation, it's better than the Kiss My Ass. Okay, it's closer, and plus too, they're covering the 80s and 90s and non-makeup era too.
Is there a release date for this project?
This is coming out late fall, if I'm not mistaken.
Late fall. Awesome.
The name of it, Buffalo Rock City. You'll be able to see it on it's on Facebook. They have their own site on Facebook, and of course it went away.
We'll get the link. We'll post it in there.
Yeah. So at Buffalo Rock City, this will come out again. Like I said, it's going to come out in CD form actually, and I think Spotify, that type of stuff as well.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, it's been a pleasure.
Kevin, it's been a pleasure.
Were you waiting the whole time for that?
All the time. Yeah. Yes.
Thanks, and stay tuned for another episode of Shop Talk coming soon.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
If you like this video, please hit like, share, and subscribe for future content.